Pam and Tommy is the true story of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee's leaked sex tape. It was leaked by a disgruntled former employer of Tommy Lee. This former employer was getting revenge on Tommy Lee for treating him like shit, so he broke into his house and stole his safe, and in that safe happened to be their sex tape. And then from then onwards, he releases it in order to try and gauge profit and, punish Tommy Lee for what he's done to him in the past. Now, the concept of this certainly captured my interest, not just because it had the word sex tape in the description, I promise, but on top of that, the cast, it's Seth Rogen, Sebastian Stan, Lily James, and a bunch of other faces in here that you're also going to recognize. And Disney Plus did release the first 3 episodes all at once, so it allows you to just sort of binge like a couple hours worth of the show, see if it's something you like, and it certainly was for me. It really does make a lot happen in that time. You see how it all builds up, the tension rising, and those first 3 episodes did get me pretty hooked. However, after these first few episodes, there was a bit of an issue with the balance of the show in terms of the character screen time, and that's not an overall thing, because I'd say overall every character probably does get the same amount of screen time. Maybe Pam and Tommy get a little bit more than Rand, but the issue was on an episode basis, week to week basis. Some episodes would just be dedicated to one side of the story, so you wouldn't see the other side of the story. And the 2 sides are basically Rand's side and Pam and Tommy's side. So some weeks you wouldn't see Rand, or some weeks you wouldn't really see Pam and Tommy. And, it's kind of a shame, because I kind of like the episodes splitting up, cutting back and forth between them both. This also applied to the runtime of some of the episodes as well. The runtime was a bit random for this show. The first couple episodes are like 45 minutes, and then you get like a 50-minute one, and then you get like 2 or 3 episodes that are half an hour long, and then you get like another 40-minute, and then like a 50-minute episode. I didn't really understand what was going on there. Maybe they thought, okay, we've got less to show in this episode, and once we've shown what we need to show, we can just stop. But, if this was being aired on TV, it would have to taken up, a certain slot time week to week, so it'd have to hit that certain runtime. I guess with a streaming service, they have a sort of freedom to make it, last a certain amount of time. But even so, week to week, one week you're watching something that's nearly an hour, the next you're watching something that's half an hour. And whilst the show is very entertaining in terms of the story and stuff, I felt the style of it wasn't great. I think like stylistic techniques and editing techniques could have been a bit better. Sometimes they felt a bit random. They just felt like someone was sort of just messing about, like they were just experimenting with different styles and whatnot, and it didn't always help the flow of the show. Performances, however, are very, very, very good, which is one of the main things. I think writing is pretty solid, and I think performance is very good as well. Obviously, I don't know these people in real life, what they were like, because I didn't grow up when they were like big or whatever, so I'm not sure how accurate it is, if it's like too flamboyant, because you see that in reviews like, oh, it's nothing like what they were like in real life. I just kind of take it of how the show is portraying it to me. But what I can say is that the performances are very dedicated. Lily James is literally unrecognizable as Pamela Anderson. She looks just like her, so fair play to that. And it's just hard to believe that's actually Lily James looking like that, doing the accent, all this stuff. It's incredible. And Sebastian Stan as well, I mostly know him from being the Winter Soldier and then doing this. It's pretty crazy. He's really, really dedicated to this role, and I think kind of the standout for me. And Seth Rogen is always a win, even though sometimes in the show he can come across as a little bit goofy, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Seth Rogen, always a win. I would say this show started strong and ended strong, but it was just that middle section for me. There's like a middle 2 or 3 episodes that kind of, it almost got a bit stuck under its own feet. It kind of slowed down a little bit, and that's because the middle episodes are sort of focusing on the legal side of things, so it does slow it down, whereas the first 3 episodes are very high sort of intensity, getting fucked over, stealing the tape, releasing the tape, posting the tape worldwide, getting it online, all this sort of thing. Whereas these middle episodes sort of focused on the legal issues and whatnot of the tape, Pam and Tommy trying to fight it all, but they were good in a sense for, seeing how Pam was feeling during all of it, which is obviously terrible. So you do actually feel for her a lot, you sympathize with her and Tommy a lot for, what they're going through, and you sort of actually start to feel very bad for them as it goes on, because it just seems to be like ruining their lives and their careers. But like I said, it was a little bit slow. It wasn't as interesting as the start, and it wasn't as interesting as the end, which definitely picked up the pace again and sort of racks up the drama again. You've got Rand running into real financial issues regarding the tape, because he's, just got himself in all sorts of trouble with this. And then you've got Pam and Tommy, and their relationship is really wearing thin. It's on thin ice because of just everything. It's like it's the world against them. You know, as true story shows go, this is decent. It's not the best I've seen. I think sort of the stylistic choices, like I said, sort of let it down at times, and I think balance overall, it does feel a little bit unbalanced on a week-to-week basis. I think this would probably be something better to just binge all out, and you know, it would take like 4 or 5 hours, whatever, you know, just binge all of that at once, because waiting week to week, it can feel a little bit underwhelming when you wait a week to watch a half an hour episode and one of the main characters isn't in it. This is an entertaining show regardless though. You know, the standout really is the performances. The performances are really, really good, and it's cool to see, especially someone like Sebastian Stan and Lily James, who sort of do more, I don't know, they seem to sometimes do more low-key roles, you know, something a little more sort of like civilized on screen, whatever, but then they're doing this, where it's just all out, you know, they're playing people that you would never think for those people to play, but they did it so good, and that's just credit to how good of actors they are. I'd say this is a fun one to watch, a fun one to tune into, and it's worth a watch. If it is something that would appeal to you possibly, and you're kind of intrigued by it, I would say watch it, because it's good quality, but you know, it's just not perfect. Overall, I'd give Pam and Tommy a 7 out of 10. It's a good show, solid show. I've enjoyed watching it week to week. It's a fun little thing to stick on a Wednesday morning. So yeah, I've had a good time with it. Please let me know if you've watched it, and yeah, I will see all of you in the next one. Bye bye.